It's Thursday, the 23rd of June, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
All right, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, Sean, Sydney will get a second casino with Crown Resorts, which tomorrow is actually going to be officially owned by private equity group Blackstone, receiving a provisional license for its Barangaroo property.
The building was finished 18 months ago. Many of the restaurants are open, but the gaming floor has been dormant. The announcement by the New South Wales Independent Liquor and Gaming Authority came with a compliment from the regulator's chair, Philip Crawford, who said Crown had rebuilt its gaming model from the ground up. The conditional period will run for between 18 months and 2 years, assuming Crown does the right thing, of course. The gaming giant was sold to Blackstone for just under $8 billion, including a $3.3 billion payout to James Packer. The group expects to employ 2,000 people at the Sydney facility when it's up and running. Been a long time coming. In fact, almost a decade since the original proposal went to the New South Wales government. It means Sydney will be the only city in the country with 2 casinos, assuming the Star gets through the current inquiry into whether it's fit to hold a gaming licence. One thing about the bunch of inquiries into both Crown Entertainment and the Star Group, casinos in Australia should be run differently, and certainly regulators will watch more closely in coming years.
All right, on to story number 2, Sean, and the vast majority of us have been fully vaccinated against COVID. And so this is a pretty interesting story. The Federal Health Minister, Mark Butler, says there's no evidence that younger people who don't have a compromised immune system will require a 4th COVID dose.
Yes, COVID's diminished from the news, but it's still a major health threat. Mr. Butler said advice from the Australian Technical Advisory Group on Immunisation says the benefits of a 4th dose for younger people don't warrant a jab. Now, they define younger people as anyone under 65 years of age. I love that part of it. Anyway,
you would.
There are still about 6 million Australians eligible for their 3rd dose who haven't received it yet. Indigenous Australians and children between the ages of 5 and 11 have much lower vaccination rates, and the government's pushing hard to get those people jabbed a 3rd time.
All right, on to story number 3, Sean, and a number of food industry and farmer organisations representing a fairly whopping $220 billion in sales have met with officials from the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. They went there to air concerns that soaring inflation and that the market clout of Coles and Woolies could actually result in what's described as an increasing corporatisation of the food supply chain. Now, what's that mean?
Well, according to a report in the Financial Review, the Food Industry Alliance has been established to try and convince policymakers and regulators that more needs to be done to ensure that smaller independent operators, so you think farmers and butchers and greengrocers, along with food distributors and independent supermarket retailers, think IGA, are operating on a level playing field as cost inputs jump. Now, as you mentioned, they met with the ACCC yesterday. Farmers at the moment are grappling with big jumps in fertiliser and fuel costs and labour shortages. Food producers are trying to absorb some of the heavy increases in packaging costs, raw material inputs, energy costs, those sorts of things. What they want is a level playing field so they have some market power when Coles and Woolworths come and buy their products.
All right. Now, story number 4, Sean, we've talked about in the past the banning of Australian coal by Beijing. Now, China has moved to cap coal prices there, with traders blaming the banning of Australian coal imports for the shortage of high-grade coal in the country.
Now, far be it for me to say we told you so, but the Chinese National Reform and Development Commission this week told agents who sold coal above already imposed price caps to return excess money. Like Australia and Europe, there's an energy crisis in China, and officials have been determined to keep prices stable. But the clampdown on Aussie coal, which is high grade, has exacerbated the problem for Beijing. China is the world's largest consumer of coal. It generates about 60% of its electricity from coal. The fact that they don't have Aussie coal is hurting its back pocket. There you go.
Sean, story number 5, our last one. Elon Musk, who's one of our favourite people to talk about, he has been at the Qatar Economic Forum. He's given a wide-ranging speech, and I mean wide-ranging. He always has something or many things that are interesting to say.
Or controversial. Look, according to Bloomberg, Mr. Musk said there are still unresolved matters around the Twitter deal. Remember, last month he said he was putting the takeover on hold, even though he can't really do that given he's made a bid. He also said a US recession was inevitable at some point, and his electric vehicle group, Tesla, will be reducing its salaried workforce by about 10%. The group's biggest challenge is supply chain constraints. Then Mr. Musk shifted into geopolitics, praising Chinese companies and saying he's undecided whether to support Donald Trump if he runs for president again in 2024.
Yep, told you it was wide-ranging. Geez, he covers a lot, doesn't he?
He does.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 23rd of June, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show, which is called Fear and Greed, on your podcast platform. Every Thursday as well, you can also find our light entertainment with a bit of a business flavour podcast. It is called Safe Word by Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.